Hello there. Hi, welcome, and welcome to the HR 2022 presentation. So in 2022, as HR professionals, are you expecting more of the same or changes to the game? That's what we're going to go over today. So first off, who am I? Well, before I tell you who I am, I'm actually going to stop sharing my face because I want you to concentrate on the presentation and not all the facial expressions I make. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop that video. There we go. So who am I? Well, some of you know me, and my name is Gina Brooks, and I'm the HR and Communications Director for Proteus Inc. here in Visalia, where I've been employed for, over 25 years. I'm also the president-elect for the local Tulare King SHRM. I will be taking over, I think, after 2022. I will attempt to take the place of the amazing Monica. That's going to be very incredibly difficult, but I will try. But that's not what I mean when I talk about who am I. What I'm referring to when I ask that question, who am I? I'm actually saying that I've learned a lot about myself as an HR professional over the last 2 years. I've learned that, for one thing, I'm resilient. I've learned that I can get through anything. I can get through a pandemic. I realized that I'm adaptable. I've learned all kinds of new ways to deal with the changing workforce. I've realized that I'm agile. Now, I wouldn't say physically, but I would say mentally, I'm very agile. I would also say I'm strategic. I've certainly become a very important strategic partner for our organization, particularly going through a pandemic. And then lastly, I've learned that I'm essential. I'm essential to an organization. I'm essential as an HR representative. And you know what? So are you. In fact, according to a survey done by Paycheck Pulse, of HR report, 98% of HR leaders say that the pandemic has transformed their role. And 70% say that this has been the most challenging years of their career. And I don't know about you, but I can certainly agree. HR really took center stage during the most critical time of the pandemic, and leaders were looking towards us. They were looking towards HR for guidance on everything from safety to how to organize remote teams to ensuring that we have appropriate technology in place and that it's secure for remote workers. And also they relied on us for offering support for a workforce who was scared, stressed, and unsure how to cope with the many changes and challenges that were being thrown at them. And this is what's great about HR is we became, out of this, a more respected participant in the whole strategic planning of an organization. So what's next? Well, in 2022, I'll have to say we are going to continue on a lot of the areas that we're working on right now. But I like to say that those areas will have to be supersized in 2022. And the sections that I'm going to work on and discuss today are these 4, but obviously there's a lot more in HR. I wish we were as easy as 4 little areas, but obviously I don't have enough time to go over the millions of challenges that HR is going through now and will be going through into the future. But the areas we're going to talk about today is attracting and retaining qualified employees, keeping up with technology in a virtual world, finding ways to keep employees engaged, and how to strengthen the workplace culture. So when we talk about attracting and retaining qualified employees, the tables have turned. In fact, looking at the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, a report done in July of this year, there were 10.9 million job openings nationwide. But what's interesting about the statistics, with all of those job openings, job hiring was actually stagnant. Recruiting qualified applicants has been a struggle, and HR recruiters are feeling the pain. I know, I think I've aged like 20 years in the last 2 years. In its 2021 State of Online Recruiting report, iHire found that nearly 3/4 of companies nationwide are struggling with identifying qualified applicants. And 77% of those companies surveyed state this problem will continue into 2022. Employers are struggling to find any applicants. And in many industries, finding workers has become a game of cat and mouse. But guess what? The employer has become the mouse. So what's going on? Well, I mean, I think we all know what's going on. We're experiencing the aftermath of the pandemic, right? So in going back to everything that happened over the last 2 years, starting what, in 2019? Gosh, I don't even know when it started. It seems like maybe it was 2020. Anyway, we had a lot of closures. People were getting laid off. There was a lot of fear of the unknown. And out of the pandemic, employees learned a lot of things too. They learned how to work remotely. They learned that they had to stay home, a lot of them, and teach their children about virtual learning. And they began to evaluate work-life balance. And with all the layoffs, there was additional unemployment insurance. And with that, again, people learned, shoot, they could make ends meet. I mean, perhaps they had to change the way they lived, but they were able to make ends meet. And then a lot of people, in lieu of coming back to work, they realized, gosh, life is short. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And I'll just go ahead and retire instead of that. But okay, now we are reopening and it's time to come back, people. And after 18 months of working from home or being laid off, the mentality of the American worker has changed. And it's caused something that no one saw coming. It's what's being panned as the Great Resignation. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, 4 million Americans quit their jobs. So why? Why are people not only not wanting to come back, those that are coming back are realizing they don't want to come back to the way things were. Workers want more, right? They want more, and they also want better. According low-income and young workers, they were receiving pandemic monies. They also, some people received student loan forgiveness. There is rent assistance. And those who would typically hold those entry-level positions or positions in hospitality, they realized they had more freedom to actually want more. Other workers being asked to return to the workplace, they realized that they enjoyed that flexibility of working from home and being home with their children, and that remote work offered more of what they were looking for. And now they're seeking employment with remote jobs. The reality is the shift was coming, okay? We already knew it was kind of coming with the new generation, the generation of the Z generation, and the generations of workers such as the millennials. And these two generations were particularly different. And if you've gone to any generational trainings, you'll realize that we are working, particularly with the Z generation, they're the first generation that's completely raised in a technological world, right? So they're used to getting things on demand. They're used to the flexibility of life. And these younger workers want to work for something that means something to them. They want to work for something that has purpose. The pandemic just blew this mindset to the masses of people, right? To be forced to stay at home and work from home. And they started realizing what really matters to them. And it seems to be more than low wages and less than ideal work environments. Okay, so now that we know what we are working with in 2022, we're going to have to up our game, people, if we want to attract and retain a workforce. Okay, so I'm going to go over some different areas of ways that we can attract new applicants. And as HR professionals, we're really going to have to get creative because it's really difficult out there. Not only is it hard to get the applicants, and I don't know about you, but we've had this happen in my company. We get applicants, they start one day and then they ghost us. They literally do not show up the next day, do not say goodbye, do not give us a reason. They just don't show up again. So we're really dealing with a whole new world. And in terms of recruitment, we're going to have to look at just not ones that are looking for us. We're going to have to actually get out there and headhunt ourselves and look for those passive candidates. We're also going to have to take advantage of social media. If you're an HR professional and you're not actively on social media, I encourage you to do so. That is how this next generations, they live by. So we kind of need to go where the water is. We also need to ask for referrals. Like, you have some great employees. Ask them if they know anyone that's looking for a job. Interestingly, the tables have turned, right? So now we're basically, treating applicants to dinner and a movie to get them to like us. So we need to ask for referrals. We need to be active participants in this. They're not going to just come to us anymore. You also, as an organization, you need to market what your mission is and what makes you unique as a company, because applicants are looking at your websites. They're looking at what you stand for. They're looking at employee experience. They're looking at what your pay, benefits, what other people are saying about you. So it's important that you make sure that you market who you are, what you do, what your core values are. And in addition to that, we have to give applicants what they want. And what they want is a more flexible life. They want a more flexible schedule. They want either hybrid or remote work. We need to be able to find out exactly what they want. And that's through employee experience. So our reputation is important, right? So like on our website at Proteus, we have a section that's really about why employees work for Proteus, right? So what we try to do is promote the employee experience through our Facebook page, our website. We put in, our customer success stories, any way to touch the community and show applicants who we are and what we do. We also need to consider internships or mentorships to be able to get some bodies into our places of business. These were things that, you might contact the colleges and see if anyone's interested in a even paid internship. And then we also need to look at improving our diversity and inclusion, because people are very aware of what organizations are inclusive and whatever organizations are not. And this is a very important thing for people, and they are looking at this for the type of organization that has a great sense of belonging. Now, here's a few tips, I gave you on attracting them. So how do we retain them once we have them? Well, to retain, you better have a great hiring process. Make a great first impression and sell what you have to offer. 49% of respondents to a recent survey declined a job offer because of a poor recruitment experience, like rejected applicants who received zero feedback. And I've seen this happen quite a bit. It's really important that applicants, even if they did not get the position, that they are informed as soon as possible, because they are twice as likely to never apply to your company again. And of those hired, according to Bamboo HR, 31% have left due to poor onboarding. So make sure that you have a great hiring and onboarding experience for any new applicants. These are the type that know that they came to a professional place that shared their orientation of how their organization's corporate culture is, what their values and mission statements are, what the life of a everyday employee looks like. This is very important to those to attract and to retain. Another study shows that 65% of employees are willing to take a pay cut if they could just work entirely remote. And then 80% of employees prefer a hybrid work model. I know this isn't available to every type of employer. I know for my organization, we work directly with customers. So it's not necessarily something that we're able to entertain at the level that many other organizations are. But I know before the pandemic, we were probably about, not we as in my company, but worldwide, I think we were like at 3% remote. Now, after the pandemic, studies show that we're up to like 32% remote. So that's pretty incredible. And I do not see that going away. And then we also need to make sure that we provide resources that employees really, really need, like educational reimbursement, making sure that they have those latest technologies to make sure that they can do the work that they do, that they can stay connected, and that you enhance your wellness initiatives. All of these are great ways to retain your current employees. Now, the next challenge that we're going to deal with from an HR perspective in 2022 will be keeping up with technology in a virtual world. We got to turn it up. We're kind of been into it a little bit, we're getting our toes, our feet wet, but now knowing that the virtual remote world's not going to end, we need to turn it up. I'm not going to profess, even though I'm married to an IT director, to be a technological expert in any way. So I'm just going to touch on this area. I can tell you that for my company, we're a little bit behind in the HR technology portion. And that's something we're actually working on right now as I speak. So for many of us, the pandemic forced us to use technology that we never used before, like what I'm doing right now. I'm still not an expert on recording these training sessions, but I'm learning. And like many of you, you're learning as well to use Zoom, to meet, WebEx, Google Meet, and other conferencing and collaboration tools. Like, in addition, we're having to use file sharing tools such as Box, Dropbox, or other tools that help teams stay connected, like Slack, Microsoft Teams. I'm saying a lot of things that I don't really use or understand. I just know that they're out there, and I know I need to be aware of them, and I need to follow the leader, and this is the way we're going. And what was interesting at the beginning of the pandemic, early on, during the pandemic, when I started using video conferencing tools along with some of my employees, and we're all trying to understand this a little bit more, what these Zoom and Google Meets and conferencing tools, it was quite humorous, right? To see, sometimes, I don't know how to hear, the recording went off. It was just kind of comical, and not making fun of anyone, just myself. I found it really challenging to just, mute yourself or turn off the video at certain times. And it became kind of just a funny thing. And I knew I wasn't alone. I knew our employees were struggling with this new technology too. So I decided to do a little spoof about video conferencing. Now, some of you may have seen this before, and if you have, you'll bear with me. You're going to see it again. But I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of my little spoof on us trying to manage during the video conferencing time. So let me start this video for you.
Okay, Guys, I'd like to get started with the meeting. Are we all here yet?
I'm here. Can you see me? Hey, Jessica, I can see you. Can you see me? I'm here, Renee. Can you see me?
Yes, we can all see each other. I'm going to try to keep this short, but we have a lot of things to cover.
Hey, look, guys, I'm on a cruise. I'm not really on a cruise. Did I fool you? Is Stacy here? Where's Stacy?
Stacy?
We should wait for Stacy. I don't think she's on yet.
Guys, we need to get started. Just go ahead and take notes for her.
Hey, there's Stacy. I don't think she knows she's on.
Oh, hey guys, sorry about that. I was just getting my morning cup of coffee. Okay, guys, who are we missing?
Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, can you hear us?
Is that her nose?
Lisa, we can't hear you. Find the settings. We can't hear you. Push the volume button. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me now?
Ah! What is happening?
Hey, guys, look at my kitty.
Hey guys, check me out, I'm Adele.
Hello, it's me. I've been in isolation thinking of going to Macy's for a purchase for 3.
What the?
Hey, Mom!
What? I'm on one of those video chat things.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Who's the cutest kitty in the world? You're the cutest kitty in the world.
It is a pretty cute kitty.
Hold on, guys. I'm going to be going to another location. It's going to get dark.
You guys, I'm hiding from my son. We can start the meeting now.
You know what, guys? Let's just do this when this is all over with.
Okay, I'm not going to win any Oscars or anything, but that was just my way of trying to help employees realize they're not alone in this whole getting used to some of us working from home, some of us working in the office. But are you ready for advanced technology? Are you ready for the new hybrid remote teams? There's going to be more and more employee self-service portals. I'm sure many of you are more advanced than I am in my company at this point and have, you know, HR management systems in place. We are on our way there to get our employees used to, you know, taking care of their own stuff on their own portals, and hopefully we'll get that taken care of very, very soon. But also all-in-one HRMS and employee experience technology is kind of going to be the rage, meaning not only will you have your normal, system of HR payroll and all that good stuff, we're also going to be adding performance management tools to monitor projects and et cetera. So HR will continue to work through the technological, I can't even say that, it's so technological, you know what I mean, challenges of remote hiring and onboarding. And that's going to continue to be the norm in 2022. HRIS systems have increased their use of artificial intelligence, and I'm fearful to say that I think that that's going to happen more and more with employers because of the shortage of applicants and a workforce. Employers are having to find ways to work more efficiently, and they are leaning towards technology to make up for some of that missing workforce. So I see more and more artificial intelligence to continue in 2022, with more and more being used in the filtering of resumes and chatbots taking over some of the early screening and recruitments. Like I said, larger companies are looking to cap their labor force, and more automation and use of robotics is coming, people, in 2022. In HR, we're going to have to really look at the cyber security of all of this as we go more remote, right? You wouldn't think that we would be involved in cyber security, but if you think about it, particularly with these self-service portals, you know, we have to think of confidentiality and the fact that any kind of technology, you're always at risk of getting hacked. And what do we have in all of these all-in-one HR management systems? We have everything about our employees, including their benefit information. So we are definitely going to be working closer and closer with the IT, ensuring that security happens with all of our technology in the remote workforce. And then we're going to have to work on reskilling and upskilling employees in technology. Kind of like my video there shows, you know, when we first started, I mean, shoot, we didn't know what we were doing. Many people were using their phones. We lost connection. We've come a long way from there, but certainly as we continue advance in technology, we're going to have to reskill and upskill our employees to make sure that they are where they need to be. Okay. So we looked at attracting and retaining employees, and then we looked at the fact that we need to concentrate on advancing our technology. The next area we're going to look at is engagement, okay, and finding new ways to keep our employees engaged so they stay with us. So what is engagement? Engagement is basically it measures how strongly employees feel connected, right? It's really about employees being committed. It's not necessarily about job satisfaction. It's more about how they feel connected. They feel they trust the organization and that they're committed to the organization. And why is that important? Well, actively engaged employees are excited about the work they do and the place they work for. And when you have excited and engaged employees that love where they work, A, what we seem to care about most lately, they won't leave. And B, they're much more productive, and that will help the bottom line of any organization. So what's the opposite of an engaged workforce? Well, it's your disengaged workforce. And we're seeing a lot of that now, right? As employees are coming back into work after being out of the office for so long. And that's another reason for this mass exodus of employees. They're bored, or they don't care about the work they do, or they don't feel appreciated or compensated by the organization. So when you have a disengaged workforce, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go look for a job somewhere else. And that's exactly what they're doing. So we realized, you know, as we're coming back from the closures, we're coming back, life is kind of returning. We are in the midst of COVID recovery and businesses are opening back up. And we're being faced with employees not wanting to return to work at all, right? They're wanting to continue to work remote or hybrid. And those who have been working are either burned out or realizing opportunities are all around them. So what's an organization to do? Well, because the first video just wasn't enough for me, when we started opening back up, I did a follow-up spoof to my first one, basically asking my at-home remote workers to come back. And I will share that with you.
Okay, guys, it looks like things are lifting. I'm gonna need you back in the office on Monday.
Yeah, I've been here all the time. Thanks for noticing.
Hello, anyone there?
Yep, still here.
Renee, hello, can you hear me?
Sorry, I can't make it in on Monday. I'm at an A's game.
No, Renee, you're not. Baseball's been canceled.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Where's Stacy? What is she doing?
No idea, because I'm actually at work.
Stacy, can you hear us?
Sorry, yeah, I'm here. I was just making my morning protein drink. Focus, people. Who are we still missing? Lisa. Lisa, you on? Lisa, put your phone on selfie.
I'm here.
Does she not know how to use the phone? Look, guys, this is our last virtual meeting. I need you guys prepped and ready to be at work on Monday.
Who's coming to work with mommy on Monday? You're coming to work with mommy on Monday.
What happened to the cat? Stacy, you know you have to get out of that robe, right? Lisa, we haven't heard from you. Are you ready for Monday?
I got a new life. You would hardly recognize me. I'm so glad.
Obviously not working. Just whoever can be here on Monday, be here on Monday.
Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I have no shame apparently as an HR professional, but sadly, some of those personalities are probably a little bit more true than I would like to admit, particularly trying to fit into anything after, eating and drinking too much during the last 18 months. But I digress. Back to the future of engagement. So interestingly, globally, it's become an issue too, in terms of keeping employees engaged, and only 20% of the entire global workforce is engaged. That's frightening. So what do we need to do? We need to nurture employees' human needs and well-being. We have a different workforce, people. Facts. The more engaged employees are, the more productive they are. An engaged workforce increases lots of things. Obviously, production, but also customer satisfaction. And they're also, an engaged workforce is less likely to quit. So engaged employees, they support the mission of the organization, and they actually improve your overall corporate culture. So what are some ways we can improve engagement? Let's look at some of those things. Well, for one, I love to conduct state interviews, meaning for your current staff, do employee interviews, surveys, however you want to do it, and ask them, why do you stay? How can we make things better? What gets you excited? What makes you committed to work here? Basically, we need to crack the code for employee engagement, right? So research has been trying to do this for years. They've been attempting to improve employee engagement. It's been basically a top OFI, I call OFI, is opportunity for improvement for most organizations, right? But the last 2 years has pushed this importance of employee engagement to a whole other level. I mean, it's not brain surgery what employees want, right? They want the same things they've always wanted. They want the same things we want. They want to feel cared about. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel informed. They want to feel valued, and they want to feel what they do means something, right? They want to work for an organization that has a purpose, and they want to work for an organization that they believe in. The difference now and in the future is that employees have more choices, right? They can choose now instead of having to continue to be bored and disengaged. They realize now that there's a lot more opportunity out there, and they're willing to jump ship even for less money in hopes for a more meaningful experience. So let's talk about what you can do. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there. So what can you do? One of the things I think is important, and it's actually the next section, and it's strengthening workplace culture. So this kind of ties into everything. Your workplace culture and ties everything in together. It ties the how to attract and retain employees. It ties how to keep employees engaged. It's kind of everything all in one. So how do we strengthen the workforce culture? Well, corporate culture is basically shared beliefs, right? It's values and behaviors that guide an organization. So the question is, to all of you and to any organization is, have we adjusted to those changing values and beliefs of the post-pandemic workforce? So your corporate cultural, it's really hard to say that. Corporate culture is what drives the success of all other trends that we discussed earlier, right? And your employee engagement, attracting and attaining employees, advancing your technology to keep teams connected, and being able to work in a flexible environment. All of those are about culture, right? It's about your corporate culture. So what's important about your corporate culture and where you should start, honestly, is I would review, evaluate, and define what your ideal workforce culture looks like. I mean, you need to know specifically what's changed in your corporate culture, right? And when you think of corporate culture, think of it as a behavior. That seems so much more tangible when you think of something as a behavior, because that's going to be the values that you live by as an organization. And you need to be intentional with living your corporate values. That means action. So ask yourself, does the corporation's core values align with what your employees believe in value? And if not, review and refine them. And that's where that input from your employees is so valuable. So some of the areas I believe what the culture of the future is going to look like, these are some areas that I think we have to concentrate on. We need to look at a more humanistic work environment. We need to focus on meaning and purpose. We need to have employees feel a sense of belonging, and we need to ensure that our employees are well. And for 2022, honestly, it's the year of the employee. They're looking deep and asking important questions about their lives, including where they want to spend 40 hours a week at. For us organizations, basically to attract and retain these employees, we're going to have to look at things that are more humane. We need to think of a more humane work environment where employees are treated with empathy and care. So it's basically a human-centric culture. And for supervisors, this reminds me very similar. Human-centric culture. The leader of a human-centric culture would be a servant leader, right? Because they always think of the employee first. This is exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about not just from the leader and how he leads. I'm talking about the entire culture of the organization needs to revolve around being an empathetic and caring culture. So not just the employees, but the culture has to solidify that that there's empathy and caring. And if you think about what people have gone through, they've gone through the most traumatic situation with COVID. And then, we think we're going back to normal and we think we're going to open up, then the Delta variant comes and people are losing loved ones, and some people are losing their jobs. And then they have to worry about the education and quality of education of their children who were forced to school from home. And now the fear, are they going to be safe going back to school? There's just a lot. And people need and want empathy. They want to know that there's concern and from the employer about their needs. They want an employer who understands they have work-life challenges that they've never been dealt with. And they want an employer that cares about their well-being and not just their mental well-being. They want an employer that understands their emotional, financial, and physical well-being. So employers have discovered that they have a purpose apologize, employees, I should say, have learned that they have discovered that they have a purpose in their life, right? When they are out of work and, all of these things are happening around them that they have no control over, or they've never experienced in their lifetime, maybe losing loved ones, having financial problems that they've never experienced before. And a lot of people really looked deep and really started questioning their purpose in life and realizing that it was much more than what they were getting from where they worked. And that they really wanted to work for an organization that shares similar core values. And they wanted to work for an organization whose core values would enhance their life, right? And make it more meaningful. So an organization truly needs to live and breathe core values, right? Their culture needs to have very well-defined core values, because core values equal purpose. And employees want to feel what they do has purpose. And so what you need to do is make sure you align employees' purposes with the organizational's purpose. So when you think of core values of an organization are just words unless you're living by them, right? So do the corporation's core values you have, do they align with your employees' beliefs and values? If you don't know, this is where you need to do those surveys. This is where you need to ask your employees what their core values are, and educate your employees on the organization's core values, and then actually show them how they align. Because core values are what it's basically your how, right? Your core value is your how you're going to do it, and your purpose is why your organization does it. Add behaviors to your core values and put those actions to those behaviors, okay? Because studies show that just 45% of companies have integrated their purpose into everything they do. Kind of like when you talk about branding and your mission and your vision and your value statements, what employers are failing to do is to connect them all and to market and to educate their employees on how those are integrated in everything they do. So the only way that you can keep an employee engaged is by aligning their values. And you need to do this at the very beginning, because this is where employees are at their best. It's at the beginning. They're excited. They're wanting to understand what you do. This is the perfect time during your onboarding that you explain what the corporation's core values are and what the purpose of the organization is, and openly discuss with the new employee what their core values are, and integrate them early on. And this is what I meant by how all of these kind of intertwine, because this is how you retain an employee, is by having core values in your corporate culture that align with theirs. So another area employees expect to see, mainly because it's far, far overdue, is an active effort to improve diversity and a sense of belonging for everybody, right? This is something that became a very huge social issue before the pandemic, but during the pandemic as well. And everyone wants social connection. In fact, 40% of employees feel physically and emotionally isolated. So what can we do? We can make inclusion a priority. Think about it. People were isolated. They were in their homes for more than a year, not getting to see family members, not getting to see friends, not getting to go to the movies or just go to a restaurant. So now that we're opening up, there's still this this need. There's almost a extreme need, more than before, to feel like they belong because of such length of isolation. So we need to emphasize the importance of making everyone feel like they belong in the organization. And so how do you create that sense of belonging? There's a couple of different ways you can do it. There's many different ways you can do it, but as a leader in 2022, as an HR professional in 2022, you're going to have to strip down to your authentic self. Employees want to know their leaders, understand what they're going through, and they want to know leaders will understand and show their vulnerability, and that they'll communicate that they understand. So it's important to find ways to stay connected, even if it's virtual, right? We do Friday trivia, usually most Fridays, and I do it over Zoom, and I invite anyone that wants to come in, and we have, inexpensive gifts, and I'll usually do it based on, maybe what holiday it is, or some other special occasion that's happening in the world. One time we've done Disney, different ones. But it's just a fun way to stay connected with employees. And then also don't forget those acknowledgement activities. Every year at Proteus, we always had an annual event where all the employees, because we're over 4 different counties, all the employees in the whole organization got together for an entire day. We had it over at the Visalia Convention Center, and we had different training silos, and we did some fun activities. And it was a great way to really just bring our corporation together as one. Well, unfortunately, the last several years, we've not been able to do that, obviously, because of COVID. But we've tried to do as much as we can over Zoom. Obviously, it's not quite the same, but it's an effort to try to stay connected, and that's what really matters. So get creative and find ways that that you can stay connected and ensure that everyone's included, right? Include everyone in issues is a good way to make sure you're getting their input, you're including them in everything that makes their job theirs. So give everyone a voice, give everyone the ability to have an opinion in what's happening in the organization. The last area that I'm going to touch on is making employee wellness a priority. Now, I know wellness was big last year. I see this really, really continuing. We have an exhausted workforce, and we're really going to have to look at employee wellness in its purest form. We cannot sugarcoat the need for employees to receive support after such a traumatic time. So this is kind of probably what you're feeling. Employees are having to garner all their strength and spirit to return to work.
You cannot do, okay.
Holy Spirit, activate.
Oh, no.
Holy Spirit,
no.
activate. Holy Spirit, activate. 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 All right, let's go.
Okay, just a cute little example, but many employees are having to do whatever they got to do to motivate themselves to return to work after going through so much trauma, and then also still having that fear. There's still a lot of fear with what's happening with COVID, and will they get sick again? So the employees of yesterday, they don't exist anymore. We've already determined that they expect more in terms of flexibility, pay, benefits, purpose, but they also expect more from their leaders. They expect more from their supervisors. So how do we prioritize, and what do we do with wellness in 2022 and beyond? Well, today we've learned we will need to be more creative, right? And how we attract and retain employees. We learned that we will have to advance our technology to support the workforce of the future. And we've learned that we will have to improve employee experience to keep employees engaged, and that we will have to strengthen our corporate culture to ensure it aligns with the core values of our teams. But we also are going to have to look at enhancing our wellness programs, whether it be your EAP or any wellness initiatives you have. We're going to have to really look at what employees need, what they want. If that means enhancing our benefits, enhancing our EAP, then we need to do that. And we need to focus on all areas of wellness. I mean, typically it's always been like physical wellness, right? Like our company, we do a weight loss contest every year. But one of the things that I've been concentrating on as a leader is ending the stigmatism of mental illness and really trying to educate staff on other areas of wellness, such as mental and emotional. I do videos all the time, trying to just, give my team tips on how to deal with emotional and mental challenges. And then also look at your financial programs. Usually there'll be some really great tips and stuff from that employees can get from EAP, but also look at your 403B or your 401k providers and see if there's any kind of assistance that they can give. Can they do any special financial planning workshops or anything for your employees? And then just educate, educate, educate. We do Wellness Wednesdays every single Wednesday. I put something out, either tips and not just in one area. I put tips out in, all of the areas. So I rotate them and change them up a little bit, right? And then I kind of mentioned the importance of being transparent and vulnerable. Not just the leaders, but the HR department needs to showcase that that some of these issues that employees are dealing with, we need to normalize them because we're all going through it. And when they see that their HR director or their CEO is opening up about perhaps needing therapy to deal with some of the challenges or suffering from depression, anxiety, and that's something that I've always shared with my employees in hopes of making them realize that it's okay, we're all human, and we can get through this. So it's very important that we look at being more transparent in dealing with some of these issues. So thankfully, organizations have HR professionals and leaders who have already proven themselves. And I have no doubt that you, like me, will continue to be resilient in 2022. You will continue to adapt in 2022. You will be agile in 2022. You will be strategic in 2022, and you will continue to be essential to the leaders of corporations as HR finally gets the recognition as a very, very important strategic partner. I thank you. I thank you for joining me. Again, doing these recorded videos is new to me, so I appreciate your patience as I mumble through every once in a while. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I thank you for being here. I've left my contact information, and I do have a workplace website where I have other videos, and you're welcome to share them. They're all available for anyone to share and learn from. Thank you very much, and I will see you hopefully soon. And I am going to say goodbye.